And we're back again.
Whoop, whoop.
Episode 3.
Hello.
No,
this is 4.
Is this 4?
Yeah, we did lesbians, gay. Oh no, 3. Yeah, transgender. Whoops. No, yeah, you're right. Episode 3.
I'm like, what was the 4th episode?
Well, technically, the first one we just did the Pride.
Oh, I suppose so. Yes, this is episode 4 for Pride Month, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, got no time. I'm losing track of minutes. Yes, so this is episode 4 for Pride Month because we love a theme and we might as well maximise on it for revenue opportunities.
That are not happening.
That's happening, yes. And so this time round, we're going to celebrate those that are in the trans, non-binary, the sort of the spectrum area of the LGBTQIA plus community. And
we had some issues.
We had a lot of issues, yes, because in England, Scotland, Wales, whatever, in the UK, it's very difficult to find those within the community that are trans and as famous as those that are in the US, that have done as much, and that sort of hold that kind of candlelight to what it means to be trans and what it means to be within those communities. So much so that we've had to stick a few Americans and one Australian into this mix.
Yeah, so we're doing the trans and non-binary.
Yes. And I think that we can start this straight off. In terms of non-binary, probably the most famous person in the
And the
UK,
only person I could think of.
Yeah, would be Sam Smith. And they are, obviously they're a singer, an artiste, and they came out as gay originally, and then obviously found themselves, and then came out as non-binary. It's one of those things whereby that sort of level of fame obviously secured them the position to be able to comfortably come out and start representing the community at large, and to try and bring light into that sort of situation, because there's a lot of people still to this day that don't understand what non-binary means. They look at Sam Smith, who is very masculine presenting, facial hair, somewhat masculine clothes, sure, paints the nails, wears makeup, but they can't move past that sort of masc presenting persona. And so then they look at Sam Smith and go, well, he's a guy. And you're like, no, non-binary in this world, in this sort of like understanding, means that they don't really subscribe to those gender conformative rules. They sit on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, they don't feel male and they don't feel female.
Yeah.
They just feel like a person.
They just feel like who they are on that day. One day it could be a case that they come out wearing all leather and, grows a full-blown beard down to the floor and is like, in the most masculine present that they can do. And apparently that's my definition of masculine, is all leather and a giant beard.
Apparently so.
But then the next day...
Mine was more like BDSM, I don't... Yeah. It's like, where's he going with this?
Like, BDSM is mask. No, and then like the next day could don a full face of makeup, could wear the
dress, heels.
Could be that person that then comes out and goes, today I feel on the feminine side. And then people would understand it more. Then they would go, oh, okay. I think it's a very difficult thing to do and have people understand it.
I think Jonathan Van Ness is quite a prime example of being non-binary, gender fluid, because they would wear, sometimes they have trousers on and sometimes they have dresses on, and sometimes they've got the nails done, sometimes they've not got the nails done, but always has a beard.
But
then has long hair to match the long beard. So
with JVN, I feel like, and this is where I'm kind of gonna, I don't hate Sam Smith, just for all of y'all who are wondering, but I'm gonna say that it's easy that Jonathan Van Ness kind of did things the right way, whatever that means.
I don't know too much about either.
Well, effectively, what Jonathan Van Ness did was come out as non-binary, but said, my pronouns are whatever you want them to be. So I am either he, I am either she, I am either they, I am either them.
I am a queen.
Yeah, it's whatever you want them to be, because I'm just who I am. Do you know what I mean? I can't explain it. I am just Jonathan Van Ness. To me, this is just my persona. This is
what I like to wear. This is how I like to be.
This is how I present. This is how I feel. This is, if one day I'm connected to the feminine feels, I'm going to put on the dress. I'm going to don the heels. If one day I'm presented to the mask, I'm going to put on the suit. I'm going to do this. And he, she, they, Jonathan Van Ness, basically.
I'm just going to keep going to Queen.
Jonathan Van Ness opened up the spectrum and said, it's all of it.
It's the
You know
whole
what I
thing.
mean? Don't worry about calling me they, them. It don't make a difference. Do you know what I mean? If you still want to call me he, that's fine by me. And it makes it easier for people to then go, oh, so that's what non-binary is. Because they're not having to worry about thinking and going they, them.
See, I get a little bit confused in certain aspects of non-binary gender fluid because it's, and I feel like that's a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And some people it's not that they feel masculine or feminine, they just don't feel like either.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Therefore, they would prefer the pronouns they, them.
Yeah,
because
true.
they do not subscribe to feeling masculine or feminine.
But there's always that thing where it's like, you've had your whole life to come to terms with this. Give somebody else,
Give them
10
chance.
minutes. And so you kind of have to understand that getting used to the they, them pronouns is very difficult to do. It's not a normal thing. It's not a natural
It's not
thing.
a regular thing to do.
Yeah, for us to kind of say and do. We are so
I have to,
stuck within the
if I refer
male-female.
to somebody sometimes, if they are non-binary, I do have to catch myself, just make sure I'm catching myself before
Yeah.
I say it wrong.
But there's a lot in writing whereby, because obviously I'm a writer. No, there's a lot in writing where you don't always know whom it is that you're speaking about, and you don't always know if they're female, male, or whatever else. Especially because I do a lot of like fashion writing, and it can get very confusing because some of the names are very French and very feminine, but it turns out it's bloke.
This is a guy.
So yeah, so you kind of word it in the non-binary script, so they produce this part of their collection rather than he produced this part of his collection, because you don't always know. And I think that once you get used to doing that, it then becomes very natural for you to turn around and be like they, them, they are, they will, they do this.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to having to write that down in format that it becomes a formality rather than an expectation. And yeah, Sam Smith is trying to break those boundaries and being rather successful as well, actually, to be honest with you, with it all. But out of the two, I will always go for Jonathan Van Ness, because I don't know, they are far more animated with what they say, and they are far more accepting of people getting it wrong. And I suppose Queer Eye has something to do with that.
Queer
as
Eye
well,
definitely has something to do with that.
because they're going into like the southern states of countries.
And, like, they go into Texas and stuff like that, where it's just not even remotely
Yeah.
accepted. And Jonathan is very understanding and very patient with people.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Yeah.
But that says a lot about their personality as well. So
It does, actually. You're right there. Yeah. And I think that's probably the reason why I'm like, yay, Jonathan. So going into, passing over into the well, actually, we'll stick with the non-binary for just a moment, because someone who came out who is now suddenly climbing the ranks of fame so high is Bimini Bambulash. Like, they're in Walker's adverts now.
Are they?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I don't watch a lot of TV with adverts.
For the one where they're eating a sandwich and the crisps, Bimini Babes. She's literally
Oh, no
sat
way.
there, and I say she, and that's fine because
It's dressed as the queen.
yeah, dressed in drag.
That's what I'm saying, dressed as a
presenting
queen.
woman. Yeah, so it's, again, this is where if we sort of bring that discussion in, Bimini was born male, and became drag queen, Bimini Bambulash, and then came out as non-binary on the show.
Yeah.
And basically said, I don't ascribe to one single gender. I believe in both as I sit there. But the beauty of it is, because Bimini spent their life being in drag, if you say she's not going to be like,
Offended.
don't call me she. Yeah,
but because
it's they, them.
Because they are a drag queen, therefore the queen part is obviously she. So that part of Bimini's persona is a queen, would be female, I guess, unless stated otherwise.
Let's say it otherwise, yeah.
And then I think if Bimini was not in drag, then it would be they, them.
They, them, exactly. Well, this is it. And again, it's about the sort of understanding that and learning that from this whole thing. But yeah, Bimini's been in so much fashion shows, like literally in France, in Paris Fashion Week, strutting up and down the runways in some of the most expensive gowns and clothes, and literally is becoming huge in the UK, developing an album, all this sort of stuff, and it's going to be releasing it all. Yeah, literally. I don't, and it's mad to think that something like RuPaul's Drag Race, which was on BBC Three,
Yes.
which is online only,
Yes.
gets no TV airtime,
Yeah.
and suddenly they're becoming this huge celebrity in the UK. And thinking of it, it's very reminiscent to Gottmik. In the sense that Gottmik obviously went onto the US version of Drag Race, is trans, but like what Gottmik says, trans male, but I still sit on the non-binary convergence.
Yeah.
In that, if you call me she, that's fine. I'm a born female trans man doing drag.
There's nothing more confusing.
You know what I mean? If you can try and decipher that, good on you.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, even, Gottmik, if you turn around and went she. She's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm a drag queen at the end of the day. That's what it is. But also, in myself, I felt like a man.
Yeah.
And I feel it as a man. So, that's the whole point of it. And it's the same with Bims. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that RuPaul's Drag Race is producing celebrities that are becoming very mainstream. Mm-hmm. Because it shows that we're heading in the right directions, that's for sure. Yeah. And it'll be easier with Bimini as well, because the sort of look is very male, but also in heels and long nails and stuff like that. Do you think
it's very... I think they're very andro sort of.
Yeah, very sort of androgynous, but at the same time it's like masculine femininity.
Oh, it's just a smash up.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying that it's more of an andro sort of.
Yeah, definitely.
Sort of vibe from
when you say andro, I keep thinking you're going to say android.
Android. Not android, no. Androgynous, andro.
Very android sort of thing. Yes.
Yes, queen.
Can that not be the new thing? It's just like, how are you? I am an android.
How are you?
How are you? So moving on, we've got Monroe Bergdorf. And Monroe Bergdorf is a trans woman. She's an activist. She's also a model. She's been in New York City Fashion Week. She's also the first transgender model in the UK to be the face for L'Oreal.
Because you're worth
it. And unfortunately, she wasn't, because then she kind of got into a race row with them and she got fired.
Oh. Oops.
It was to do with the, I believe it was a foundation collection that they launched. And their tagline was something like inclusivity or something like that. And it was 10 shades. And you're like, how inclusive fucking were you? Because it was like 3 shades for dark skin and the rest of them. So you were either white or 3 shades of dark. And that was it.
Not very inclusive then, is it?
No, and she kind of voiced her opinion against them and they dropped her as the face. Which, if she hadn't been outspoken, she'd still be working for L'Oreal, but she's got morals and she's got, justification because it's wrong.
Well, you got to speak up about these things, otherwise the companies don't get it blasted so that they correct their mistakes.
Exactly.
So.
And she also did a TV show as well for the UK for Channel 4, and it was where she explored what it's like to be a trans woman in, not necessarily just in fashion, I suppose in the world generally, but then as you sort of roll into the media at large. And she kind of brought about the explanation for what it's like to be British and trans, being one of the first people to actually do that. And I think that that's a big step as well, because we don't really have anyone in this country that's done anything like that.
I can't even name any trans celebrities that are British, so...
That's what I mean. So it's a big step. It's a weird thing, isn't it? Because when you take a look at the two sides, like the parity between the UK and the US, in the US, we can name...
I can reel off 3 transgender people immediately.
It's same. And then if I keep on thinking about it and moving forward, it's on my hands and toes. Do you know what I mean? I've got enough people to sort of reel off.
Oh yeah, there'd be more if I really, really thought about it, but I can name 3 straight off the top of my head.
Yeah, but in England, in the UK...
Couldn't name you one.
No. And it's so weird because we know there is, but it's just not a big spoken about thing here. I thought you was going to say something then.
I guess with the fact that they haven't got rid of the conversion therapies and stuff for trans people, that maybe that's why we don't know of as many. I don't know. Maybe people don't want to say anything out of fear. Because I think sometimes if you've still got things like those conversion therapies in place, it makes people not come out or not say anything.
Yeah.
Potentially. But then again, there's worse rules in the US, I guess. So
Yeah, there is. It's a strange one, to be honest with you. I don't understand how. We've sort of skipped in terms of, like, stardom. So we've gone from straight, gay, lesbian, non-binary. And then we're like, okay, trans is somewhere around here. We're still adventuring on this part. We'll come back to it at some point. And yeah,
I think it's harder for people with being transgender than it is with non-binary gender fluid, because non-binary gender fluid, even though people don't fully understand the concept, it's only the changing of pronouns. For obviously, the person is who they are. I think the primary focus is making sure you get your pronouns right, whereas obviously you need to do that with somebody that is transgender, but for a lot more people I think it's a lot more difficult to then accept the fact that if this person was originally born male, is now, it identifies as female, or vice versa. So I think people struggle with transgender more than they do with non-binary gender fluid.
I think they struggle with transgenderism, that's probably not the right word. I think they struggle with trans people in general if the outward appearance is not all like matching what their pronoun then becomes. So if
I
you've
think
got
people have issues with that.
someone who's trans who's still, I hate to say it, but transitioned early on in their, say later on in their life, transitioned into the 50s, didn't have Caitlyn Jenner money, and then unfortunately still looks very mannish, and then but is female for all intensive purposes. I think people then struggle to understand
the pronoun.
The pronoun, because they're so busy going, oh well, they look like a man. But the reality is, it's pretty simple. If they've announced to you what their pronoun is,
I
female,
do from the back.
and you just say, female. Yeah, that's what I mean. There are many men out there that look like women, and there are many women that look like men. It's just that's the world we live in, guys.
But just make sure you get your pronouns right.
So yeah, it's just about recognizing what someone identifies as, and it's one of those things where Monroe Bergdorf looks like a woman. Do you know what I mean? Like, for all the people out there that go, I would know if a man transitioned into a woman. Take a fucking look at Monroe. You wouldn't know.
That's not even true. Like, even sometimes if you look at a drag queen, you think it's a woman. RuPaul, I'll always come back to RuPaul, obviously is born male.
Yeah.
And one of the most famous drag queens in the world. And when she is done up, I couldn't tell you that was a guy.
Yeah. Even RuPaul says there has been many times where straight men
hit on him,
and then it's been like, there's a little extra surprise down there, and they're like, oh, thinking it's like sexy, and she's like, no, not that kind of surprise, yeah. I don't think you'll like it.
This is what I'm saying. So
it's one of those things where we live in a society, end quote from famous movie, whereby the outward appearance has to match what you are stating as in order for people to be accepting, which is shitty and wrong. But I think that's why in the Americas they kind of have more of a success with it, because it is more about outward appearance, and a lot of them who transition have access to surgeons that have access to all these sorts of people that can get them the look that they want, that they feel is right for them. In the UK, we don't really have a lot of that.
I think it's harder as well when you transition in the UK, because you have to jump through a lot of hurdles to start your transitioning. Before you can even start transitioning, you have to jump through hurdles just to get your tablets and stuff, so that you start to match what you feel on the inside before you even are allowed to get surgery. So there is a lot of hurdles you have to jump through in this country.
There is, which makes it very difficult, I guess, to be honest with you. Anyway, speaking of those that don't necessarily match their appearance but also do at the same time, is Ruby Rose.
Yeah, so we're jumping out of Britain now because we don't have anybody else.
I mean, so
we're gonna fly to Aussie.
Listen, if you could think of some, post them in the comments below, because we kind of want to know. I did some research and I really couldn't think of any.
I couldn't. So we're flying over to Australia.
Yeah, we'll fly to the land of Oz and we're
gonna go with my mild lesbian crush.
Mild.
Major lesbian crush. Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose is an actress, singer, model, DJ. She sucks at all of it. No.
No, she does not.
No, I'm kidding. She's actually very good at a lot of it. But unfortunately, I just wish she'd nail it fucking down. I wish she'd nail one of them down. But I'm just going to be an actress in movies and I'd be like, you go, Ruby. I'll be there supporting her. But anyway, if you don't know her, stunningly beautiful. Did a miniature movie back in 2014. Breaking free, whatever. It was something Hilary Duff-esque titled. was it Hilary Duff who did Breaking Free?
I don't know. No, I don't think it was.
90s children, please can you comment? And she did that, and it was to do with her breaking down her femininity and masculinity. The walls of the gender walls. Yeah, it was to do with how she recognized
I'm gender fluid.
Yeah.
It's to come out as gender fluid, and in the video, if anybody watches it, Ruby starts off dressed in a bright red dress, heels, makeup, wig, long blonde hair, full on feminine, looks like a woman. And as you go through the video, strips it all down in the shower, washes away the makeup, and then at the end is wearing full blown suit, holding a cigarette, looking like a dude.
Yeah, with dead short hair, slicked back.
Yeah, and looks hot.
Yeah.
In both.
Oh yeah, it's strange, stunningly beautiful in both sides, beautiful in the masculine, beautiful in the feminine, and it's one of those things whereby what she wanted was, and I think it's okay to call her she because again she's fluid in her gender and she identifies as lesbian as well, so it's easier to sort of, a lesbian woman loves woman, so it's one of those things where she's able to kind of play on that sort of masculine aspect of being fluid in that regard, that she's not bound to having to think, well, in order for me to go to this, I'm going to have to wear this pretty dress and do this and do that. She could just put on the suit. She could embody the spirit of masculinity and does so far more successfully than most men, I might add, actually, to be honest with you. And it's the same thing with their acting career. If you sort of go through what they've done in the past, John Wick, she was effectively playing the female version
of an assassin of
John Wick.
Batwoman
as well, yeah, was another one where it was the feminine but also
she got to
masculine.
Play a lesbian as well at the same time, so she could really play on just be herself inside that role.
But again, it's that sort of representation of the woman doesn't mean feminine. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And it's that whole sort of thing. I think most modern day feminists would agree that being a woman is nothing about femininity, ironically, but it's everything to do with empowerment and everything to do with how you choose to embody your empowerment, which is something that Ruby Rose does very well. And that's why I think that she's a great poster child for being gender fluid.
Absolutely.
Because you can look at her and understand that and go, oh,
I think the video that she did explained it very, very well. So if people ever struggle, I guess in some ways, if you wanted to see what Ruby meant by being gender fluid, you watch the video and just watch the transition. It is remarkable, to be fair.
It's very good. It was very well shot. It was very beautifully done. And I would definitely recommend it for people to go out there and watch, because it is the embodiment of what being gender fluid, being a lesbian, being a woman, being all these things is, that she encapsulated in that video. Probably one of the most viral things that she did. Probably better than her last fucking movie. I think
that's how she started to get famous.
Movie. It was certainly better than what was it, Vanquish?
Vanquish, yeah.
That movie sucked.
Questionable content. Shall we move on to some wonderful transgender American beautiful people?
I'm good with that. I think I want to start off with probably the one who I really enjoy and really sort of represents being trans and being a trans woman and what it's all about is Laverne Cox. Because we've seen her in
Laverne Cox.
Yeah, we've seen her in
Orange.
Orange is the New Black. We've seen her in Anna Delvey. Anna
Delvey.
Yeah, the Anna Delvey story. It's all bad tech. No, I need to start doing that. I can't help it. We've seen her do so much, and it's one of those things where she sort of shot to the height of fame because of Orange is the New Black, because of how much of a huge success story that TV show was. I didn't watch it. You did. You said it was really good.
I made you watch it in quarantine.
Oh, God,
in lockdown, I made you watch it from start to finish in lockdown.
Yes, God.
I've seen it about 6 times front to back.
But we
to
also watched Wentworth, so a lot of these women prison
they
dramas
do
are all
blend together after a while.
Yeah.
I made you watch Orange and I made you watch Wentworth. Yeah.
Yes, that was it. So then obviously she was she had a starring role in Orange Is the New Black as well. It's not like her role was even minor.
and in Orange obviously also plays a trans person and she is a trans person, so I think that, not that it always has to be that way, but that made it so much more realistic. So obviously when the storyline in Orange was heavily focused on trans rights and the way that her character was being treated within the female prison, I think that was very, very powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't think that anybody else could have done it as well as Laverne did.
No, I think you have to have that sort of...
You need that life experience, not of the prison necessarily, but of
the prison that she came from. No?
Not of prison, but of life experience of being transgender and the things that Laverne probably will have gone through.
Yeah, I agree.
Being transgender. So then that transitioned onto screen and it just made it an incredible performance.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also one of those things whereby Laverne has... It's this kind of fun thing where she plays the characters, where she plays the characters of a trans woman very passionately as well. And so the stories come through as genuine. And that's what I like the most about her. Yeah. I don't feel like she's talking at me about it. I don't feel like she's just going, this is what trans people are like. I feel like she's just playing it and going, look, this is, everyone's different. This is an experience and this is just what it is. And that I like, that I love. And so then I think we'll go on to what's probably seen as the most controversially shocking thing of the time.
I don't understand how this was controversial to some. I don't get why people were so...
I think it's because
shocked,
it suddenly happened. And that, we'll elaborate. So it's Elliot Page. And obviously Elliot Page, star of Umbrella Academy, was the star of many other things as well. Juno, X-Men, played Kitty Pryde. There is so many different things. And the thing about what shocked me the most is
he came out so prior, before obviously the dead.
Yeah, as a lesbian.
That. Came out as
like,
a lesbian, and that wasn't a surprise at all. Because we all knew there was something.
Yeah.
And then came out saying that he is transgender. He is transgender. Elliot.
I found it more shocking because I just didn't expect it. I didn't expect that they were going through all of that. Mainly because
I feel like Elliot's a very quiet person anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily in media and stuff like that, because I'm not really sure. But you know, when he does like interviews or gives speeches or awards or anything like that, he's quiet. He seems like he's quite hidden, almost like he feels out of place whenever whenever he's done things prior as the dead persona that was. I always felt like it didn't feel right, like he wasn't comfortable.
But I still
even when he came out and said prior, that said lesbian and stuff, I still didn't. He would give interviews, and I'm still sat there going, something just isn't clicking for me.
But I'm still getting that now, even coming out as a trans man.
I've not seen anything from Elliot, so I can't comment.
I think that they're just...
So maybe that's just their personality and the way that they are. But...
I think he's just naturally a reticent, closed-off individual. And I think that that's where it sort of comes across as shocking, that one action leads to another action and people are turning around going, what? Because they're not shouting from the rooftops.
His presence on social media seems to have changed significantly, though. He seems a lot more... He seems to post more frequently of himself. Like, before, wouldn't really post of himself. Now he posts himself a lot.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's made a... That definitely shows that clearly there was something prior.
Definitely. And I think that it...
And his surgery is incredible.
We talk on it almost like like we know ourselves, which we don't, unfortunately. No. And so it's one of those things whereby I suppose the reason why we could all say that we were shocked, or the reason why so much controversy surrounded this, is because when Elliot was female, you would look back at that sort of parade of work and think to yourself, oh, well, Juno was the definition of what it was to be a modern day girl in
And
a man's
pregnant
world
and
and
stuff like
pregnant,
that,
yeah, and trying to make sense of it all. Kitty Pryde is a much loved character in the X-Men series. We kind of all looked at it that way and was like, oh, I can't picture that this trans man would be wanting to play all these sorts of characters. But at the same time, if they didn't know themselves,
if they didn't
back
know
then,
themselves, then how could you
say
you can't
it? Yeah.
say that. Do you know what I
And
mean?
that's
Like,
what I
if he
mean.
didn't know, then he didn't know. There's nothing you can do about that.
I mean, none of it was as shocking as Caitlyn Jenner, so...
We're not. I don't even want to discuss Caitlyn Jenner, so let's not. But Elliot, obviously, I think what's really, really cool is that obviously Elliot was in Umbrella Academy before the transition for seasons 1 and 2, and now he's changed. Obviously, he's transitioned into the person that he's supposed to be, and he's coming back for season 3 of Umbrella Academy, which in the UK airs in July. And his character is going to be transgender, which I think's awesome that they've completely changed it round to make sure that the character matches the actor.
I mean, the writers are cool anyway, and the creators of the comic is... Who are the creators again?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I
They're
don't know.
a band, aren't they?
Are they a band?
American band.
Oh, that's going to really bug me.
It's going to bug me as well.
You carry on talking.
The writers and the producers and the makers of the whole thing are cool and, you know, relaxed and stuff anyway. And I suppose the beauty of a TV show, no matter what the TV show is you're not necessarily following the source material directly. So you can kind of retell the story whatever way you want. I mean, it's only the same with like Marvel's MCU at the moment in time. It is not reflective of what it was in the comics. They've completely changed the story.
Yeah.
It's just similar.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why Elliot's character cannot be male. I mean, it's all about crossing timelines and divergence and stuff like that anyway. So the reality is you cross one loophole,
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
transitioned into a man.
You can just, of course you can. You can just suck them through the portal and all of a sudden they're a guy or they're a girl or they're a whatever.
Just is what it is. It doesn't
It
doesn't have to follow suit. There doesn't have to even, you know what, there doesn't even have to be an explanation for it.
No, there doesn't have to be an explanation. Just bring them in as a now male character. Like, nobody cares.
This is the story. Everyone move on.
This is the way we're taking it. But I think we're going to watch Umbrella Academy, aren't we, season 3? Obviously, because I watch Umbrella Academy anyway. But I think we're going to do a quick podcast episode or 2 on it and let everybody know what it's like with how they approach the transition, Elliot's transition with the character.
Definitely. Well, it'll be interesting to see because obviously Umbrella Academy is a big one. It is a big sort of comic book fan-based TV show. And it'd just be interesting to see how they do handle it. If they make it blatant, if they sort of go out and then every episode is about being trans, which I hope they don't.
Well, I'm guessing that it's not going to be... It'll be whatever Elliot will have agreed to, so...
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. It'd be good to actually do some sort of review on it and see where we're at with it all. Definitely. Yeah. You're struggling. Have you found it?
Yeah, I found it now then. Yeah, it's one of the is it lead vocalist from My Chemical Romance.
My Chemical Romance, that's the one. Okay, cool.
That's done this.
But that's what I mean. And they were cool. They were cool. Like, they're not cool.
Like, they're not cool. They're just toured.
They just toured, yeah.
They're not
cool
anymore.
Not
cool.
No, but they're cool.
Do not say that to my girlfriend because she loved My Chemical Romance. They were cool. Not anymore. Sorry.
No, but they're in that category of all accepting, all welcoming. Do you know what I mean?
They've got like a punk rock sort of vibe.
Exactly. So, that's why they've probably done it. Because they're not going to be the type of people to be like, no, you must stay a woman. Yeah. No, they're not going to do that, ever. Can you imagine? And yeah, that's pretty much all we've got time. Yeah, that's all we've got time for. It was a good segue into what we'll be doing in the future, that's for sure. And it's good, again, just to sort of see the trans talent that's out there, the non-binary, the gender fluid talents that's emerging in the world and where we're going to be going. This Pride Month has been a great month for us, not for anyone else.
Hope everybody had fun.
Yeah, same here. I hope you had good, reasonable, safe fun. And I hope no one drank. No one did drugs. That's not Pride. Anyway, we'll close this all off by me repeating constantly, as I always do, that if you liked this video, then please hit the thumbs up button and give us an actual like. Make sure you subscribe as well.
Hit the bell button for notifications.
That was so delayed. You can also follow us on...
Because I thought you were going to say leave a comment, and
no,
you
I was
didn't.
taking a breath. You can also follow us on Twitter at @ASureThing. Keep up to date with where we are, what we're doing, and what's going on in the world. You can also follow us on Buy Me a Coffee, where you can indeed buy us a coffee. Because without coffee...
I have nothing again.
You can also sub to us on Patreon as well and become a Tier 1 Discord member. And that's it from us. We will see you next week. Who knows what we've got planned for next week?
I have no idea.
No. We'll start brainstorm. We'll get on that straight away.
You can't say brainstorm.
No,
anymore.
but that's why I stopped myself.
Yeah, that's all right.
We'll get on that straight away. Don't you worry, loyal viewer. We will get...
You one person, you know who you are.
You will get your next episode regardless. Anyway, that's all from me.
And
Bye.
from me. Bye.